Should we start?
Okay.
Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'm here with Roberto D'Amelio
Hello,
from
Eric.
Ares Games, looking at Sword and Sorcery,
Yes.
which is coming out in first
Coming
quarter of
out,
2017, I think.
Yes, we are actually shipping out of a factory in middle of March. So we plan the game to hit the stores in late April after we fulfill our Kickstarter bakers.
Okay. So we have some demonstration of what's going on here. This is not all the tiles. You said,
Yes. There are a lot of punch boards and tiles in the game. Essentially, the punch boards offer a set of modular components that you use to create a variety of scenarios, as it's typical in a way of dungeon crawler games. There are 6 big sheets of punch boards with all the components plus all the other cardboard components belonging to the game. The game is a cooperative dungeon crawler. In terms of complexity, I would say it's the easiest of dungeon crawlers. I would rate it among, say, most complex in a line of Descent or those kind of things. So it's definitely a gamer's game, but once one of the players is well acquainted with the game, it's very easy to share the fun with other people. So there is a 56 pages rulebook, but as you see, it's full of images and examples, so it's not like there's a ton of text to read. So still a little bit of studying doesn't hurt, but there are already a lot of videos out explaining how to play. There's a Tabletopia demo where you can learn how to play, playing with the actual demos. The scenario system, as you see here, the storybook, the scenarios are stringed together in a big campaign which takes the character from level 1 to level 4. So during this campaign, the scenario are connected in terms of course, their outcome, but also in terms of storyline. The scenarios themselves are pretty streamlined. As you see, this is a typical presentation for the scenario. So how do you set up the enemy deck, how you set up the event deck, how you place certain key tokens on the game board, and how you set up the layout of the board. And because everything which is textual essentially has been moved onto the Book of Secrets. The Book of Secrets uses a classical approach with numbered paragraphs, which are related to paragraphs marked in the scenarios itself. So whenever you happen to meet certain key points or waypoints or story event in the scenario, you are directed to read one of the paragraphs in the booklet, which in turn may activate further events, give to the players choices. There are a lot of narrative elements that we could include in the game using this dual approach of, say, traditional scenario layout and using the Book of Secrets. Right. For example, alignment is important, so the fact that the characters are either lawful or chaotic, that may have an impact on the kind of choices they are allowed to within a certain story. Okay, and of course we do get characters reference boards. These are essentially just the main hub. Around this character sheet you will put all the special cards which represent the actual abilities of the characters, so items, equipment, skills and powers. There are 240 cards in the game, and they feature a lot of different essentially decks. So you get event deck, which specific events which are activated typically at the end of the turns. You have a wide range of powers for the enemy, for the monsters. So this is something which is quite special because it makes sure that monsters are never the same. The stronger monsters get some additional abilities on top of their standard abilities. Enemy cards are essentially cards which determine which of the enemies show up. Treasures, of course, you can't have a good dungeon adventure without a lot of treasures. And so treasures represent all kind of different items that players can find while adventuring. And of course, you can't have really treasures without traps. So traps, of course, are another element that you may encounter in the dungeons, in the adventures. These are all cards related to the scenarios and encounters. As I said, there are also a lot of cards related to the character, which are very important because they give a lot of diversity in the way that you can develop your character. So depending on which character you have, you will be have available a number of different skills. Some of them change on the base of the alignment of the characters. So if it's lawful or chaotic, you will start with different initial abilities and different stats. And you have some abilities called talents, which apply to all characters, but most of the abilities are specific to one character. So, for example, these are all abilities for the paladin. Sometimes good for the one version only, either for the lawful or the chaotic version. Sometimes they are good for both versions of the same character. And so when you level up, you choose essentially which new skills to add to your character. So there are a lot of different paths, a lot of different development possible for the characters. So skills are one element. Of course, the characters can get equipped with more cards, potions, and all other kind of trappings that are typical in fantasy. And a part of the game engine, a very important part of the game engine, are the encounter cards, which determine when monsters show up, which are not immediately individuated by the scenario itself. Encounters will make it possible for new enemies to appear on the game board. Okay. Miniatures. One of the really nice things about these games are the miniatures. So in the retail version, in the core set of the game, you get 5 different heroes. So the elf archer, an elf magician, the dwarf, which is essentially a cleric, assassin thief, the paladin, and there's the wolf, which is a companion to the ranger. You will get 3 levels of monsters. Monsters have different poses, so that no 2 figures in the game are the same. So you see, for example, you got 2 different green orc warriors, 2 different blue orc warriors, 1 different red orc warriors, so that they are diversified typically by the weapons or other elements like the head or other feature of the figures. So it's all monsters figures are multi-part figures, and they end up being all different from one another. There are 4 main groups of monsters in the game. So there are gremlins, orc warriors, orc shamans, and the raiders, for a total of 12 different monsters. Each of these monsters have a very different gameplay, which is dictated by the artificial intelligence system. So each monster has an artificial intelligence card, which gives the behavior of the character and also gives the different skills and abilities that the monster have. And on top of that, there are 2 boss monsters which are met at some appropriate points in the campaign. One which is this huge troll, and one is the orc king. Okay, so this is a very quick overview of the components. Special dice, also a feature of the game. So there are special custom dice of 2 different types, with colored icons, so that you essentially everything in the game, especially combat, of course, is resolved by the roll of these special custom dice.
Okay. And as we can see from this overview here, this table is not ideal for sword and sorcery.
Yes, we need a slightly larger table to play properly, definitely.
That's right. That's right. The box takes up 1/3 of the table right here.
Yes,
definitely.
All right.
Yes. Well, thanks for the overview.
Thank you.
Of what's coming here.
It's